and thoughts, to those in suffering and sorrow, to those in doubt and ignorance, to all who are striving to attain truth, and to those whose feet stand close to the great change called death. We wish them all wisdom, mercy, and love. May the infinite light of wisdom and compassion so shine within us that the errors and vanities of self may be dispelled. So shall we understand the changing nature of existence and awaken into spiritual peace. And so that is my intent for our meeting tonight. And I wish you all well. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from a bit of a cold, so I may clear my throat. But I want to quote the Buddha: don't believe me with what I'm telling you. Don't trust it. Go make it real for yourself. And if it isn't real for you, then try something else. And the Buddha said that you'll know in your own heart that which leads you into light and brightness. And so I'm going to give you the caveat again. Don't believe me. Make it real for yourself. Is that a deal? Do I have a commitment for everybody in the room? Okay, good job. I like that very much. So we have a motley crew here tonight, and I see Miles in our Zoom meeting. Miles is a regular attendee at our sangha in the mornings, and good to see you, my friend. And I can't tell who else is in the room because everybody's head is cut off, but I'm happy to have more people. I thought you said there was only to be 3 and 5. Yeah. And is it Tamara from Hood River?
Yes. And then you press that arrow to see the rest. There you go.
Okay, well, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Good to see you all, my dear ones. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about how do we practice Buddhism. It's a busy world, and earlier tonight there's someone here who's a physical therapist and a social worker and a madman tearing apart his house, putting all sorts of new things going, and an internet guy and a man who helps seniors with food service and all sorts of different people. And so how do we take all of our varied jobs and our life stresses, and how do we put that into a way that works to let us practice Buddhism as we understand it, but also to share that great practice with others? So I'm going to ask Reverend Scott if you would come up and put the Metta Sutra on the thing tonight, if you would please. And then would you pass a sheet out to everybody in the room? Got it. Thank you so much, Reverend Scott. So this is the Metta Sutra, and there are many translations of this. I happen to like this one well. There is a line in here that is not common. May they not seek followers or supporters. That was actually added at a Theravada council about 300 years after the death of Buddha. But I thought it was significant because the Buddha gave strict orders. Don't be asking for a bunch of robes, and don't try to build yourself up in your practice, but rather accept those that want to come, and those that don't, that's okay too. So I'm going to read the Metta Sutra to you instead of chanting it. Metta Sutra. This is the way of those who follow the Dharma. They have become skilled and peaceful, seek the good and follow the path. May they be able and upright, straightforward, of gentle speech and not proud. May they be content and easy wherever they are. May they be unburdened with their senses calm. May they be wise and not arrogant. May they not seek followers or supporters. May they live without desire for the possessions of others, and may they do no harm to any living being. On this one should reflect. May all beings be happy. May they live in safety and joy. All living beings, whether weak or strong, old or young, man or woman, smart or foolish, healthy or disabled, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or to be born, may they all be happy. Let no one deceive or despise another being, whatever their status, and let no one through anger or hatred wish harm to another. As parents watch over their children, willing to risk their own lives to protect them, so with a boundless heart may we cherish every living being, bathing the entire world with unobstructed and unconditional loving kindness. Standing or walking, sitting or lying down, in each moment may we remain mindful of this heart and this way of living that is the best in all the world. May this sublime abiding, holding no fixed views, obtain pure-hearted clarity of vision and freedom from sensual desires. In this state, one is free from the cycle of rebirth and death. Metta is the only Brahma of the four Brahma Viharas that has its own sutra. And the Buddha actually gave this sutra when he went to visit a group of monks who were living. We're going to get rid of this for a second then. Scott, could you come and stop sharing for us? There we go. There we go. We got it. We got it. And a group of monks were concerned because they said the spirits in the forest were disruptive and disturbed. And the Buddha gave the Metta Sutra talking to the monks to say, hey, whatever is here, let all beings be peaceful. Let us respect and care for all things. And the monks were reassured by the Buddha's teaching, and this sutra passed down from 2,600 years ago to us today. Now, I want to be very honest. The oral tradition at the time of the Buddha was done by memory and then passed on. So this may not be the exact words of the Buddha, but the heart and the intent is very, very close. And we've had several grand conventions of monks who remembered, who were alive at the time of the Buddha and then passed on the oral tradition. And then another group of monks several hundred years later listened to everything and clarified a few things, but kept the same heart and the same practice. And since the time of Buddha, from teacher to student, these wonderful sutras have been passed down. In addition to that, we've had a lot of sutras added by great teachers. Zen tradition has sutras of its own. The Theravada sutras have been added to over the years. And so all of these great teachings come down to us today. And I want to be honest, I don't know them all. I've read them all at one time or another, but I don't remember them all. But we have a group of sutras at our temple that we say on a regular basis. So I want to give you a little bit of history about my particular journey. I was first a Soto Zen priest in Japan at a very young age and loved Japan. It was just a great place to be. And in Japan, at the time I was there, I was 6'2", and all the fellow priests were average about 5'2". And so I was like this big lump and very often treated like a trained bear. Oh my goodness, he can speak Japanese, but look how tall he is. And so it was a wonderful experience, great training, great meditation, great heart and spirit. Over the years, I fell in love with the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh and the way of Zen practice from Vietnam. And that is my current practice. And that's why it's Thay. Thay means teacher or monk, Thay Kozen. And my Buddhist name in Vietnam is Thich, Thich, Man Thân. And I don't say that with the correct accent, but it means bright star. So, uh, uh, what's that? Yes, yes. Well, anyway, so the journey is one. Uh, when Buddhism went from India to China, in India it was called jhana, and that was the great meditation practice. And when it went to China, the Chinese, being clever people, heard what they heard and said, "Oh, it's Chan. Okay, we got it." And so it became Chan. And in India, what happened was that the missionaries from India spoke Sanskrit as a primary language. Sanskrit is cognate or directly related to Latin and German. So it was a very concise language and very prim and proper. They went to China, and in China, the language there was based on pictorials, which the Chinese characters are today. And so the Chinese had a very flowery way of looking at it. In China, you might not say, I hate you. You might say, I hate the hair of your liver. And you've all heard happy, good luck places to eat, restaurants, or the Smiling Lotus restaurant, or things like that. It's a very flowery language. So the missionaries from India said, how do we share our language with the Chinese? Sanskrit was an Indo-European language, directly related once again to Latin and German. And so it was very concise, very precise. And in China, they were going, what do I say? How do I express these things? There was a religion in China already existing, and that was called Taoism. And so there was a marriage linguistically because the Buddhist missionaries borrowed Taoist terms to explain emptiness. And pretty soon, in this linguistic marriage of two different cultures, Chan or Zen Buddhism was formed. So it was called jhana in India. When it went to China, they called it Chan. When it went to Japan, they called it Zen. When they went to Vietnam, they called it Tien. When it went to Korea, they called it Sun. So it's a mispronunciation of a mispronunciation of a mispronunciation. And today we live with whichever culture we are. So I practice Tien Buddhism, and at one time I practiced Zen Buddhism. Now our host over here, our hostess, she followed the Theravada journey. And then we have other people that are Pure Land Buddhist. And we have other people that are Tantric Buddhist or Vajrayana Buddhist. And we have other people who are Chan or Zen Buddhist. It's all ice cream. And each one has its own special flavor that calls our own hearts to it. So when I look at my Theravada brothers and sisters, I say, oh, that's what they like. When I look at my Chan brothers and sisters, oh, that's the flavor that they like. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who I just met in India 2 weeks ago, what a sweet man. Oh my goodness. Kind and loving to everyone, just impossible to duplicate that in my heart. Uh, he met someone who was Presbyterian minister, and he introduced him, and he said, you know, Your Holiness, this is so and so. He's a Presbyterian minister, and His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, how wonderful, you're Christian in this lifetime. Good for you. And that is the journey of loving kindness for all faiths and all practices. If you're practicing Christianity with an open, kind, inclusive heart, you're already pretty close to being active, good Buddhist. If you practice, we have a whole group of people of various faiths that come to our temple. So I'm going to give you their code names. If you're Jewish and practice Buddhism, you're a Jubu. If you're Sufi and practice Buddhism, you're a Subu. If you're Christian and practice Buddhism, you're a Crispu. And there's a few names in this group I can't even say with a mixed crowd like we have here. But Buddhism is about becoming the very best person we can become without worship in a deity or a power greater than our own heart. Our teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, Shakyamuni, sage of the Shakya clan, taught us that everything we need to know is inside. And in the Great Heart of Wisdom Sutra, it says there's really nothing to attain. As Suzuki Roshi, a Zen priest, said it really well. He says, you're perfect just the way you are, but you could use a little work. And that is our journey of practicing Buddhism for what it is. So today I want to do a metta practice, M-E-T-T-A, metta, loving kindness. How many in the room that's here, or maybe on Zoom, how many people, I want to raise hands, have been angry at someone else? If your hand's not up, you're a liar. Okay. How many people here have ever hated someone? Show of hands. How many here have ever been hurt by someone? So the deal is that you may not know this, but this woman, there's a woman over here to my left who's a cruel, vicious social worker who's always demanding that people get well and healthy. And Every time she sees me, she hits me or throws something at me. I'm making this up as I go along because she's about the sweetest lady I know. But have two choices. I have several choices. I could hate her, and I could go every time I see her, oh, I hate you. You're so mean to me. You're rotten to me. And I could think that of her. Or I can say, gosh, she has a real journey that she's making, but I don't have to carry that journey. Why would I give someone who's mean to me free rent in my head? Why would I color my life and my heart with anger or ill wishes? Because my goal is to have the cleanest heart I can have. And so the metta practice allows us to sort of let go and to clean up the garden in our heart, to get rid of those weeds, those nasty things of ignorance and desire and anger, and pluck those weeds out and grow a loving, kind, open heart. So the metta practice is something that we've developed at our temple with the hand gestures, but you can find versions of the metta practice with every denomination of Buddhism. I especially like the Theravada monks when they chant the Metta Sutra, which isn't a common sutra to chant for most of the groups I've been with, but it's very beautiful if you get to hear it. So I'd like everybody to take your right hand and put it in the center of your chest, and take your left hand and put it on top. By the way, Paul Arthur, who is the other half of this vicious social worker I just talked about, brought roses tonight, and they smell fragrant and beautiful. So every time I move, I'm just smelling this sweet smell of fresh, lovely flowers. So we have our right hand instead of our chest, left hand on top. Take a deep breath in and hold it. Let it out. And then repeat after me. May I be well.
May I be well.
May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May I know love.
May I love.
May I know peace.
May I know.
Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out. And put your hands out in front of you as if you're offering something to someone. And think of someone that's easy to love, a parent, a child, a partner, a friend. Picture them in your head and just look in their face in your mind and see them and say, may you be well.
May you be well.
May you be happy. May you know love.
May you know love.
May you know peace.
May you know peace.
Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out. And if you can, raise your hands a little bit higher and wider. And now think of someone that has less than we do. My heart goes out to the houseless who live in the streets of Portland. They may have an issue with mental health or with alcohol or drugs. Their home may be a tarp. Their bed may be a sleeping bag or an old blanket. Their body may smell. Their food choices and food availability may be limited. These are folks that have less than I have. My heart goes out to them, so I picture them and say, may you be well.
May you be well.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you know love.
May you know love.
May you know peace.
May you know peace.
Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out. If you can, raise your hands a little higher and wider as you're able. And now think of someone that's difficult to love, someone that's caused you suffering or pain or hurt you in some way. And I have a Buddhist technical name for these people. I call them turkey butts, and they are my very best teacher. To someone that's caused me pain or discomfort, think of them, see their face, remember what they've done, and say, may you be well.
May you be well.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you know love.
May you know love.
May you know peace.
May you know peace.
Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out and raise your hands as high and as wide as you can comfortably do so. And now think of all that is upon this earth of fur, feathers, scale, and skin. All that grows and all that does not grow. And to all of life say, may you be well.
May you be well.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May you know love.
May you know love.
May you know peace.
May you know peace.
Deep breath and hold it. Let it out. And slowly bring your right hand back to the center of your chest and your left hand on top. And the person we're least likely to forgive is ourselves. We have people that, oh, they've done terrible things, but we forgive them. It's okay, you can get better. But we carry our guilt and our shame and our darkness with us. So, and the Buddha tells us that if our compassion does not include ourselves, it is incomplete. So look at all the dark stuff you've done, all the stuff based on anger, desire, and ignorance, all the people you've hurt, the rudeness that you've been, the anger that you've been expressing, everything that you may have done. And once again say, may I be well. May I be happy. May I know love. May I know peace. Take a deep breath and hold it and let it go. And relax now. That is our metta practice. And I do that every morning. And I'm an old monk. I don't have many lusts left in my life, except maybe chocolate chip cookies. But most of my stuff, I'm pretty nice to most people. I try to be a courteous driver. I take care of feral cats. I have a dog that gets so loved. I try to be kind to people. So I don't do many things off the track. But every morning as I do this metta practice, it reinforces my life to say, hey, Kozen, this is the direction to go in. And the Buddha tells us what we think, we become. What we think, we become. So I want to ask the group again, how many have had someone cause them pain or suffering? How many still hold on to that pain or suffering? How many would like to get rid of it? So I want to tell you, I'm not political. I don't I don't vote for any particular party. My passion is to choose people that are kind to elderly and children. If they pass that test, I'm all for them. But there are some times in life that we disagree with people. And I found myself in a position once of not agreeing with someone. So what I did is I went back to metta again and again and again. And I kept saying that for that person. May you be well. May you be happy. May you know love and may you know peace. And what happened is my heart opened and I was able to look at that person and truly wish them to be well and happy. And what happened to them, I don't know. But what happened in my own heart is I was free from my anger. I was free from my judgment. And I was free from the pain that I carried. The goal of Buddhism is to become the best me that I can become. And the Buddha tells us that holding on to anger is like me drinking poison hoping you die. And it doesn't work. And the Buddha also said it's like holding a hot rock hoping someone else gets burned. We are hurt by our anger. We are hurt by our desire to cause pain or suffering or response to suffering in others. Think of your heart as a great garden. And reach in that heart, and when we find things that are based on desire, ignorance, or anger, let's pluck those weeds out and throw them away and go back and give our heart the nourishment of may I be well, may I be happy, may I know love, and may I know peace. And I've donated a bunch of cards that have that here at the center, and somebody's going to pass them out. And there's two sides to the card. And the blue side is how do you do a metta practice? And I start each day with this. And once again, I have many faults. And if I had a nickel for every time I'd screwed something up, I'd be a bazillionaire. But I start my days with metta because it sets the tone of what I want to have happen for that day. Now, I want to encourage you all to adopt a spiritual program where you start your day with something that means something. And this card right here will be here at the center. I'm going to donate up some for you. You could pass those out for anybody that you want to. And if you're not able to come to the center, if you write me a self-addressed stamped envelope and inside of an envelope and mail it to Mount Adams Buddhist Temple, I'll send you some cards. I want the whole world to get on board with this. And I'd like to say that I wrote the Metta Sutra, but Buddha did it about 2,600 years ago. So I'm just sort of, doing a follow-up on his wonderful teaching. On the other side of the card is a gift also from the Buddha's really great teachings, as interpreted by a wonderful Vietnamese monk who died last year, and his name was Thut Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh was, along with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, one of the two greatest Buddhist teachers in the world today. And he taught us a way of dealing with stress. And I don't know about how the rest of you deal with it, but just show of hands, how many here ever get stressed? How many here ever feel overwhelmed? I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a one person in this group tonight who stabbed himself in the thumb. And we all get stressed. I personally watch what has been done with the internet tonight and the computer and Zoom, and I went over and sat in another chair because I was getting stressed just watching these two try to fix all our problems. So the Thich Nhat Hanh interpreted the Buddha's teaching to 3 deep breaths. And we're going to do this, and I use it with Qigong, this with a breath in and a breath out standing, which I can't demonstrate right now like this, but you can come up with whatever works for you. And the first breath, if you'll put your feet flat on the floor, and I'm going to tell you what to think as you're breathing in. As we take a breath in, go, I know I'm breathing in inside your head. Hold it and let it out. I know I'm breathing out. The next breath in, I am aware of the breath in my body, and hold it, let it out. I am aware of the breath in my body. And the last one, take a breath in, I calm my body. Hold it, let it out. I calm my body. And that's it. Pretty remarkable, huh? 3 deep breaths. Studies show that if you're agitated or upset, your pulse is elevated, your blood pressure is elevated, that these 3 breaths will actually cause your blood pressure to settle back down into a more normal place, your pulse to calm down, and your mind to be a little bit freer of the tension and stress you had. So the 3 deep breaths. And these cards are available here, and they'll have a supply of them, and also you could write Mount Adams Buddhist Temple and get one. There's another card here over on the table, if somebody would pass those out, that has the secret of the universe on it. And I've left a pile of these cards here. These cards are done at a senior center, a senior retirement center, and the folks there, as part of their craft project, cut out all of these pictures and then laminate it, and the secret of the universe is written on the back of the card. And the secret of the universe says, when in doubt, love more. When in doubt, love more. And it says the same thing in the back of every card, but it's a wonderful reminder to the Metta Sutra to look at the whole world with the same love a parent has towards their child and be willing to protect them. So I'd like you to take these cards, and there's a pile of them here if you'd like to get one and come to this meeting in the future, or if you send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Mount Adams Buddhist Temple, we'll send you a card. When in doubt, love more. And I used to think, I gave you the technical Buddhist term for people that are real annoying and cause you problems, turkey butts. Our worst enemy is our best teacher. Our worst enemy, the most offensive person that we could run into, is our teacher about compassion and mindfulness. Many years ago, I've worked all my adult life, and I worked as a therapist for a period of time. I'm an advanced practice nurse, and I ended up at my highest level of incompetence as a hospital administrator. And during this time when I was doing therapy, a friend of mine, a psychologist, asked me to do the men's group of men who had sexually molested children. And she did the children's group. And some of these kids had to have surgeries to repair parts of their bodies that had been torn or broken or mutilated. And I was prepared at that time. I was young and arrogant. I was a monk, but I didn't understand metta. And I was prepared at time to hate these men and say, listen, you dogs. And I went into the group with them, and I found that all of these men were loving, kind, sweet, wonderful men who had trauma in their past life, who had hurt, who had been, most of them, abused when they were young. And I found that they had shame and fear about what they have done, but they were sort of on autopilot trying to deal with this great overwhelming sense of desire and anger and fear. And I found as I worked with the group that there are no bad people. There are people that get stuck in anger, desire, and ignorance. But truly, there are no evil, nasty people. There are people that are unkind and cruel, but that's their stuff for them working it out. My job as a Buddhist is to have the most loving, compassionate heart that I can come up with. Now, I'm not saying that we have to agree with everybody. There's a couple men who were in my group who I think should be locked up in prison and never let out because they're not going to change. However, as a person, the Buddha tells us to look on the whole world without right and wrong, good and bad. That doesn't mean we don't protect ourselves from people that are going to molest us or going to cause harm. But it does mean that we don't judge them. We just see them stuck in anger, desire, and ignorance. Those are the three poisons the Buddha talks about. And to set up a wall of protection for ourselves, for children. At our temple, we have a preschool from 3 to 5. And the kids right now are running around, jumping up and down in the snow and having snowball fights. And in the spring, they go out and watch the birds nest. And we have a river otter in our pond, and the kids are applauding the river otter. It's great fun. They keep me much younger than I should be, I think. So we're very protective of those children, and people that come or work there are screened to see if they have any terrible backgrounds. But at our temple, we've had people who work there who were imprisoned for murder. We've had people that are in our work at our temple who have had a drug bust. We've had people in our temple who were guilty of several other crimes. The people we won't hire are people that have a history of sexual acting out or abuse. And we don't hire those, not because they're bad people, but simply because they have boundaries that may not fit well with our protection of our kids and the people that come to our temple. And the Buddha encourages us to let go of good and bad and right and wrong and just look at this is the way people are, and they get caught. We all get caught in anger, desire, and ignorance. And so doing the metta practice on a daily basis allows me to clean the garden in my heart, allows me to grow beautiful flowers and loving kindness, and get rid of the, Republicans are bad or Democrats are bad. It lets me get rid of, people from Asia are bad or black people are bad. Let me get rid of the Jews are bad or Christians are bad. It allows me to look at the whole world, everyone being equal, everyone being a part of the Buddha himself, everybody having this wonderful heart without right or wrong and good and bad. So I'm able to look at the nastiest, most terrible people with a loving heart, protecting myself and those that I can protect, but still not judging. Still looking at them with people that are just stuck in anger, desire, and ignorance. So my offering tonight for all of us is, did I break anything? Am I still on? My offering tonight for all of us, it's your garden. It's your heart. How many here still carry some anger? How many here still carry some pain and suffering? So I want to encourage us all to look in our hearts and start weeding the garden of our heart. We have these beautiful flowers up in front. I don't know, you probably can't see them, but they smell delightful. And here's a rose as part of this. And they smell wonderful. Let's grow flowers in our heart. Let's grow the openness, the kindness, the compassion, and the metta that the Buddha taught. Let's not be growing old, nasty weeds of anger, desire, and ignorance. A show of hands, how many would be willing to do metta practice every morning for the next week? Oh, I like this. This is a good group. Everybody said yes. I like that a lot. Good job. I do it every day. It starts my practice really well. And I'm so humbly grateful to be able to share this practice with you. And if you go to Mount Adams Buddhist Temple on our website, we have people doing the metta practice if you forget how to do your hands. But I encourage you to remember that your worst enemy can be your best teacher. So I want to ask about just go around the room to see if anybody has anybody that's hurt them or their worst enemy, just a first name. I don't need to know anything more than just a first name. And do you have anybody that you can name a first name that you're sort of pissed at or has been unkind to you? This is the vicious social worker I'm talking to right now, who's the dearest, sweetest woman you'd ever want to meet. Okay.
We must
All right.
have people
And
here.
what was the name again?
Bob.
Okay, we would have passed it on. I'm determined to break this.
Seems that way.
Yeah, okay, I'll put it in a pocket.
Fred.
Fred.
Anya.
Scary.
Celeste.
Frank.
Rob. Julie.
Rochelle.
Scott.
All right. Would you turn the mic off? All right. So what I want all of us to do now is to look at metta and loving kindness. And if you couldn't name a name, that's fine. Excuse me. If you couldn't put a name to it, that's fine. Let's do metta one more time for the person that we're carrying in our heart anger or resentment or fear or frustration or hurt with. Would you be willing to do that as a group? So this is for ourselves. This is for someone we love. This is for our people that are less than us. So the anger part is midway between right in here, a little bit higher than shoulders. To all of us who have named someone, to all of us that carry anger or resentment or hurt or fear in our heart, think of that person's name again. Picture them if you can and say, may you be well. May you be happy. May you know love. May you know peace. Take a deep breath and hold it. Let it out and relax. The deal, my friend, is the Buddha tells us once again that our anger and our hatred and our disgruntledness hurts us, not them. So I want to encourage you to really work at letting that stuff go. Protect yourself, but let that stuff go. How many would be willing to let go of that anger and resentment? It's a heavy load to carry. And for all of those folks that named a name, thank you. That helps. I did, for one person, I did 1,000, may you be wells, may you be happy, may you know love, may you know peace. And I know it's 1,000 because I was doing between 10 and 20 at a time, and I did it every day until I could clean my heart of any hint of resentment or anger. And with that, I think our time is close. Did we do okay? Yes. So let's take a break for how long?
There is someone online with their hand up.
Okay.
Let me see if they have a question, but we just raised it.
Margaret, did you want to try to say something? I'm not sure we can hear you. You might have to type in the chat.
That's okay.
You could try. Yeah. For some reason, our sound is not coming back from
Margaret,
Zoom.
your mic is muted.
It's the other Margaret. She's
Oh.
okay. She's unmuted, but it's not happening. So why don't you type in the chat and then I'll have Thay Kozen address it if he can after we come back from our break.
And the Margaret who has the dog in her lap, obviously a vicious creature, I could tell. Unloved, unwanted, yes. Abused, I can tell right off the bat. Looks like a very sweet beastie, my friend. So we'll take a break now. All right.
We'll be back in 10 minutes tops.
Wonderful. Well, you guys raised your hands and said you're going to try that.
I'm going to try it for the rest of my life, probably. I mean, if it works, why would I not do it?
I'll tell you, I do it for the rest of my life. It's an important part of my practice.
I'll do it for the rest of mine, and I hope it's longer than a week.
I forgot to say that, Bob.
Oh, you never know.
You never
Everybody
know.
at the table get up and move a little bit.
Yeah.
During operation.
Well, how was your vacation in?
Yeah, right on the other side of the table.
Thank you for letting me make fun of you stabbing your thumb.
We were comparing notes that were sharpening. Barely.
Because my wife had it for her.
You know.
Yeah, we gotta plug him in.
But it sure does look good.
Oh,
See what you feel.
And so I, gotta get up.
Walking again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess. Oh, my, it is.
So it was for our children, and our children are going to take it.
Yeah, I hope that they're taking it to pay for it.
Did it owned by her or, yeah, paid for?
What?
No, it's not like
By
a
them.
hundred.
And so you're gonna go to Tony's. Where's Tony?
I don't know.
Well, wait,
That's
put
what
that
you
in the
told
car.
me. You said you were gonna move in with Tony temporarily. So where are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go with my son and then, their father after the partner and then with his son. So they're there. And because, I get one of those 50,000 apartments, 50,000.
Is that a long waiting list?
Well, I'm on every waiting list because, we have my son has a friend who's a social worker, so he put me on every wait list. So I think it's
What's your son's name?
John Dawson.
Where I got Tony. And where is this house that you're gonna live in? Where is the house that you're gonna live under?
Oh, it's over in North Portland, Northeast Portland, and
Up north, that's, you know, guys should be going north.
Northeast, but it's actually.
Uh-huh.
What
Well,
anymore?
I'm glad you're able to find it.
Yeah.
It's farther than me though. It's farther away from me.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it that you were close.
I did, yeah, I was amazed that there was so much wood here.
Oh, yeah, southeast is really the right hood, if it's possible.
Yeah,
Because everything is only 15 minutes,
yeah, yeah.
20 maybe.
Yeah, and I have, and I get it, you know, they are going to find us, and then I say yay or nay. And I know this is going to sound weird, but amazing is to be by my gym, or a bus line.
Yeah.
Here in the gym, so.
What you use?
Ironside.
Where is it?
Ninth and Eighth.
Oh, that's in.
Yeah, that's in Southeast. And
Sure. Not anything. Sometimes we have a social time limitation, but we're not doing it. So you can just converse with each other, but I have to wrap up the electronics. We gotta do. Oh, well, right after now, the breaker is meditation.
Oh, is that a, this is just like meditation?
I depends on what you
Oh,
want to
okay.
do.
All right, thanks.
Probably. Might be slightly guided. Tell me your name again.
Hans.
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 Yeah.
Oh, cool name.
Roommate.
You're from Germany?
Holland.
Holland. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I've never met anyone from Holland.
Now you know Hans.
Now I know Hans. I've got friends in Turkey and Russia, Georgia, all over the world, but I've never met anyone from Holland.
I have
What
last
do you
week,
eat?
so.
Import or export? I know about your cookies in the blue can.
A lot of cookies. Holland has tulips,
Um,
a lot of tulips, flowers, a lot of exported flowers.
oh, you export them?
Yeah, tulips, flowers. Yeah, uh, yeah, I don't know what else they export.
What brought you here?
I tell people I got tired of the rain.
Well, that doesn't work in this state.
So I left Holland. Too much drizzle, dark, gloomy, cold, windy.
Well, no, then you run into.
No, I just, there's no work there at the time, so I just came here and
Not this street, but that street. And it will cross Belmont.
it was high unemployment back in the 80s.
So you've been here a while.
I've been here almost 40 years.
Oh,
Really?
40?
In America, but only 22 years.
I heard not very much, you'll have to do that.
Even with all of the rain.
I love the rain, actually. I like the seasons. It starts. In Holland, it just keeps raining.
Yeah. Oh,
It
no,
just drizzles and it just keeps going for months.
oh,
Yeah, it's not fun.
no, that's not fun.
I really like this. See, I've had this already a long time, but I never put it into practice.
Oh, yeah, now you are.
Yeah.
Me too.
No. Very nice meeting you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Oh.
I'm going to do, yes, we can do the moving.
Give me more space. Table and chairs. You need to walk in front of you.
Hands get warm. Your hands get warm yet? I'm sure they look cold.
Yeah, yeah. Feel better, a little better.
Welcome back, my dear ones. I was asked to show a moving meditation that we do with our hands, and a very irreverent neighbor of mine calls it the Buddhist Macarena. So we're going to give it a try. I learned this when I was in a Thay Theravada monastery north of Bangkok about 9 years ago. I went and spent some time there, because Theravada folks are pretty bright and they have lots of good teachings. So I like to imbibe of that tradition now and then. So I'm going to show you this moving meditation. And there are some temples and some monasteries in northern Thailand, a little bit in Cambodia and Laos, that use this as their primary meditation. And I'm pictured here so that I can do it clearly and people at home can see me. I hope the rest of you can see me. And I'd like you to go along with you. If you would please put both hands down on your legs. And we're going to do a 14 count. The right hand goes up like this. Just tilt it up on your leg. Scott, would you bring a chair over here so that you can do it so people can see what we're doing? So it's, don't hit anybody in the head. Watch out. So the right hand goes up, still resting on the leg. That's 1. 2 goes up about shoulder high, and 3 goes down to your low belly. Your low belly is called the hara in Japanese or the dantian in Chinese. It's your psychic center, they tell us. And then 4, your left hand goes upright. 5, shoulder high. 6, down to your low belly. 7, your right hand goes along your body up to your chest. 8, shoulder high. 9, down to your leg. And 10, flat. 11, your left hand goes up your chest. 12, shoulder high, down to your leg. 13, and flat. 14. So it's a 14 count. So right hand starts 1, 2, 3, left hand 4, 5, down to your dantian 6, right hand 7, shoulder high 8, down to your leg 9, and flat 10, left hand 11, 12, 13, 14. And the goal is to be as graceful as seaweed underwater as we move, not robotic. So let's try it again. Right hand 1, 2, 3, left hand 4, 5, 6, right hand 7, 8, 9, 10, left hand 11, 12, 13, 14. Now, I'm a Qigong practitioner, Qigong ancient Chinese energy movement, and Qigong is known to move energy inside of our body. Tai Chi moves energy outside of our body. Not universally true, but pretty close. So with your right hand, 1, 2, grab chi, a ball of chi, and bring it down to your belly. 3, left hand, 4, 5, grab a chi ball and bring it down to your belly. Right hand, drag that chi ball inside your body, fill up your heart, your lungs, your mind, and freely give it back to the universe. Down and flat. Left hand, drag that chi ball inside your body and freely give it back to the universe after you filled your heart, your lungs, your mind. Down and flat. Now, the Thai temple that I was in did not do the chi gong, but it fits well with my practice. So that's why I've introduced that component piece of it. So let's try imagining chi and doing that, starting with the right hand. 1, 2, grabbing chi, pull it down. 3, left hand. 4, 5, grabbing chi, pull it down to our belly. Right hand, dragging the chi ball up our chest, filling up our heart, our lungs, our mind, giving it freely back to the universe. Down and flat. Left hand, bring that chi ball up inside of our body, fill up our heart, our lungs, our mind, give it back to the universe. Down and flat. So 1, right hand, 1, 2, 3, left hand, 4, 5, 6, right hand, 7, 8, 9, 10, left hand 11, 12, 13, 14. Now the science behind this, if we have a stroke on the right side of our head, it affects the left side of our body. If we have a stroke on the left side of our head, it affects the right side of our body. So when we do right hand, right thought, left thought, what happens is synergistic occurrence, which causes our blood pressure to go down a little bit, causes our pulse to go down a little bit, causes our stress hormones to go down a little bit. In other words, people feel more wholesome and relaxed when we do this. So they're finding out, science again and again and again is finding out that things the Buddha taught 2,600 years ago actually physically affect our body and our mind. And we feel better if we follow these practices. So I want to encourage you to think about adding some component of Qigong or Tai Chi to your daily practice. So I do this 14-step movement every morning after I finish my metta and visualize the chi with it because I believe it's beneficial to my health. You do what works for you, but I want to encourage you to take the 10 minutes every morning. Thank you, Reverend Scott, for doing that. And look, he's moving chairs without banging anyone's head. Good job. Good job. So I want to do it one more time for reinforcement. And actually, I'd like a volunteer from the audience to lead us. Is there anyone willing to lead us in that? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Would you mind, Paul, would you drag a chair up here? I want you to come up here and do it so we can see you. Would you drag a chair right here? Closer, closer, because I've got to swing this around. Thank you. Here we go. Introduce yourself.
I'm Callie. Right hand. Hip. Chin. Left hand. Right hand. Up. Down. Right. Chin.
If you want to learn something, teach it. How did this go for you? Were you nervous?
Yes.
Yeah, you got a rough crowd here. Hopefully, if you are practicing Buddhism, you'll find your life, all the dark corners starting to fill with laughter and taking joy and awe in the little things. Running into a field and seeing a white flower or a wildflower of some kind. Having someone come up who's just learned a new thing, being able to do it, even if they're nervous. Perfect job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And so I encourage you to find awe and laughter in your life. And I encourage you to take risks like you just did. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. And so, my friends, now I think it's a meditation time. And I think we're going to sit for, Thich Nhat Hanh says 20 minutes is sufficient for meditation. Most Zen folks, Japanese Zen, sit for 45 minutes, and then they do a short walk, and then they sit for 45 more minutes. At our temple, we do 1 30-minute sit. But I personally sit at least 2 or 3 or 4 times every day, whenever I have time to do it. So in the group that's here tonight, how many here meditate regularly? Okay, so I'm going to go over with how to meditate. Is that okay for meditation? I always used to think, well, this was a good meditation session and this was a bad meditation session. If I was able to sit quietly with no thoughts, that was a good session. If I couldn't sit with no thoughts, that was a bad session. And the reality is there are no bad sessions. What is. And no amount of wishing something were different than what we experienced is going to make it any better. So the goal of Buddhism is to experience what's happening right now, not what we think should happen or not what we're supposed to happen or not how it's supposed to happen, but right now. Before we do that, though, was there a question from the home group of anything?
No, she let it go, but I was gonna suggest that if they had any questions for afterward, that they could type in the chat.
Sure.
And we could save 5 minutes for questions. And
Sure.
answers.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a basic rundown of how to meditate. Can I borrow your body? Okay, come on up.
We're not gonna like switch consciousness or something. You're not gonna literally take my body or anything.
Put it in a jar.
Hey, have you seen this before? Who told you? So stand up for what? Okay. Now put your hand on your belly and take a really deep breath in and push your belly out. Relax. I'm going to turn this around so we can see you right here. The Buddha taught breath is really important. And most of us breathe. Relax your hand. Take a deep breath in and raise your shoulders. Most of us breathe with our shoulders relaxed. So I'm going to touch your chest. Is that okay? So from here to here, shoulder breathing, that's fight or flight. That's stress. That's anxiety. Can I touch your tummy? Stick your tummy out as far as you can. Now relax. Belly breathing does your parasympathetic nervous system. So this is your sympathetic, fight or flight. Down here is parasympathetic nervous system, which is chill, relax, it's cool, nobody's going to hurt you, there are no dinosaurs in the room. So what we want, put your hand on your belly again. Everybody put your hand on your belly. Now stick your belly out as far as you can and take a breath in. And now relax. Again. That is the breath for meditation. This is the breath also if you're an opera singer, if you're going to climb high mountains, if you're going to yodel at a high altitude, or if you're going to do martial arts. The belly breathing is the key for the parasympathetic system and to practice the quietness of breathing. Once again, here to here, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. Here to belly, parasympathetic nervous system, chill, no dinosaurs in the room. Deal?
Deal.
All right, thank you for letting me use your body. Now sit down, I'm going to go over how to sit. All right. So Buddha, in his wisdom, said that we should have a straight back. Now, I'm an old man and very arthritic, so I cannot sit in a full lotus anymore, and I have a fake knee. So it's just not pretty, even though we have a physical therapist who's ready to whip me into shape. So what you want to imagine, I'm going to touch your head, okay, is that there's a string at the top of your head. Now stretch your neck and your whole body up. As if a string is pulling you. Now relax down into it. And so what you want is a straight back, but not a rigid back. Then before you sit, do a gentle motion, circle motion here, and then the other way. And what you want is to sit well in your butt. And your pillow should not cover your whole butt, but just the back part of your butt if you're sitting on a zafu or a round pillow on the floor. Then you want your feet to be flat on the floor. You want your body straight, your ears aligned with your shoulders, aligned with your hips. And we do the universal mudra. All the Buddhist hand symbols of all the different Buddhists have meanings. So this one, the traffic cop, my personal favorite. Stop foolishness. Stop playing around. Get serious. This is real. This one is, I mean you no harm. So all of the different mudras that the Buddhist hands, all the statues, actually tell a story, and there's a whole bunch of them. So we're going to do the cosmic mudra. We're going to lay our right hand down right here, like this. We're going to lay our left hand on top, and we're going to touch our thumbs together right there. Now, we don't want to hold this up. It should actually relax in your legs so that the mudra looks like this right here. Yeah, a little bit closer to your body. Yeah. That's just the ends of your thumbs touching right here. Okay. This is the cosmic mudra that looks like this. And this is, if you'll notice Buddhist statues, a lot of the meditation statues actually have this pose on it. And sometimes the fingers are squared off, but this is the cosmic mudra. Yeah, he's doing it. Doggone it, he's good. Now in our school, we do the right hand underneath so that most people are right hand dominant. So we do the right hand underneath, the left hand on top. Thanks for pointing that out, Paul. Good job. And some schools do the left hand on top and like this. I want to be honest. If you do this, I'm going to put this right here. If you sit in the cosmic mudra, or you put your hands here and here, or if you do your thumb and your forefinger together and rest it in a yoga pose on your legs, none of those actions will prevent you from finding awakening. But if you do the cosmic mudra, what happens? We talked about the dantian, and the dantian is between your belly button and your private area, and it's the psychic center. And so when you do the cosmic mudra, what you're doing is you're circling your dantian, and it's one of the steps in Buddhist practice. It's a tantric practice to do that. How does this feel?
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm a tall guy. The
Yeah.
armrests get in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about anybody else. But
No, it's true. It's true.
but
It's hard to do
otherwise-
that.
Otherwise.
Yep.
it does feel good.
Okay. So this is the basic thing. So we want to, starting meditation, Meditation is like learning to ride a bicycle. Does anybody remember when you first learned to ride? Did anybody fall off their bike? Oh, yeah. I didn't know how to use brakes, so I would run into something to stop. It wasn't pretty. So, meditation is sort of like that. It's a learning process. So, when we start, take a breath in and visualize. Keep your eyes open because you're going to see my hand. Visualize there's a bunch of air out here. It goes in through your nose, down your body, and expands your belly. And then when you let it out, it goes back up through your belly and expands up through your body and back out your nose. So we breathe in and out through our nose in the traditional Zen style. But at the very least, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I lost my rose there for a minute, but I'll put it back on. And when you take a breath in, that's 1. Breath out, that's 2. Breath in, that's 3. Breath out. You count from 1 to 10, and then you go back and count from 1 to 10 again. We had one nun at the temple who said it took her almost 2.5 years before she could count from 1 to 10 without getting lost in daydreams. And we all daydream. It's part of what we do. But the more we practice, the more centered our meditation becomes. So when you can go from 1 to 10 with your breath and not get lost in daydreams or fantasies, or I used to think when I was the first monk in Japan, I used to think, gosh, break's coming up and I'm going to be able to eat lunch. But I would think about that a lot. Silly, silly, silly. So 1 to 10, start over again. If you get lost, start at 1 again. Does that help? And then your practice, once you can go from 1 to 10 for 5 or 10 minutes, then quit counting and just visualize air coming in and center your breath. So before we start, everything's straight. You saw the 3 circles in either direction. And then we take 2 cleansing breaths. So take a really deep breath in. Stick your belly out. Hold it. Let it out. One more. Real deep breath in. Hold it and let it out. Thank you for letting us use your body. Good job.
If anybody wants a chair without arms, they can come.
All I've got to say is damn those tall people.
I think I'll be a spiritual master soon because my spiritual center is a lot larger than it used to be.
You know, I think it's, yes, that growing stuff is good stuff, good stuff. All right, my dear one. So we're going to sit for, let's do 25 minutes. And we'll time that and sit. Does anybody have any questions in the room here before we start? All right. Starting meditation. Body, breath, and mind held in perfect oneness. I send my heart along with the sound of this bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. 2 deep breaths. Center yourself. Oh, how many people had daydreams? Yeah. How many people had perfect stillness and quiet? Oh, we have no storytellers in the room. Good, good, good. Yeah, yeah. Remember, there is no good or bad meditation session. Accept what is. But I will tell you, the longer you sit, the more often you sit, the more quiet it gets. Good sitting with you all, my friends. Good sitting with you all. Questions, thoughts, concerns?
If anyone on Zoom wants to say anything, they can write it in the chat. And if you'd like to say something here in the room, if you would take this microphone, please, and tell us your name and the pronouns that you use, and then have some conversation.
This is Arthur and 8. And I was wondering, what do you have to say about moving meditation or walking meditation?
I'm personally a big fan of walking meditation, and I do that regularly. At our temple, we have 2 boardwalks that we just walk up and back on, but I also walk around the periphery of the property, and we're very rural. It's a tree-covered, beautiful thing that's now under a foot of snow, so I have to wait, yeah. Yeah. So I'm big fan of walking meditation, and our Theravada brothers and sisters actually do that far more than our Mahayana brothers and sisters. But for me, for my personal practice, I enjoy walking meditation a great deal. Same stillness, same breathing, footstep after footstep after footstep. Good question. Thank you.
My name is Jill, and I was just, if you could talk a little more about protecting yourself in non-judgment at the same time.
It's a wonderful question. The difference between judgment and protection. So an observation would be, this person has a potential for violence. The judgment would be, they're a bad person. So objectively, we can say there's a potential for problems here. I will take precautions. And that is an observation. What we want to avoid is they're good people or bad people, or they've done wrong or they've done right. And just let that be, knowing that we all get caught up in anger, desire, and ignorance. But I do encourage all of us to protect ourselves and protect our loved ones. So that journey of observation and assessment without judgment is the important part of that. Does that make sense?
There are 2 questions online. One is, have you used mala beads in any of your practices? And if so, how do you incorporate those?
Good question. Mala. There's usually if I'm at home, I'll carry long beads, 108 beads, and I will do that when I'm doing recitations and do. If I'm going to do a Pure Land practice, I'll say Amida Buddha, Amida Buddha, Buddha 108 times. If I'm going to do a mindfulness practice of breath counting, you can count the beads and go around one time for 108 breaths. But generally, I hold the beads knowing that the tradition is that there are 108 faults or 108 hindrances to awakening. And so I hold those in my hand, and I keep it on my wrist almost always, just to remind myself to do only good and to avoid doing evil or wrong. And so for me, it's just a reminder. There's also, when you chant, if you have long beads, you can double them up between your hands and go click, 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 click as part of your chanting for that. And then on the new year, we go out at midnight and ring our great bell. We have a huge 500 kilo bell, and we go out and ring that 108 times. And I keep track of that with my rosary. Mala or rosary, same. Does that answer that question?
I think so. Sandra, you could hear? Good. And there's another question. You typically sit for 45 minutes 3 times per day. How do you split the meditation up between walking and sitting?
Good question. Good question. I try to walk every day. My hope is to, I'm an old man and I'm arthritic, so I try to put in 5 miles walking a day. So we have a labyrinth, and I'll go out and walk the labyrinth, slowly walking in and out. The traditional Zen from Japan is 1 step in front of another half step. It's very, very slow and very agonizing. The Theravada is to touch your heel down, rock your foot forward, and to feel all of the movement on your foot and the earth itself. So I walk Thich Nhat Hanh style, just in a regular slow pace. And I do that for when there's not snow on the ground, I do that around the property for a period every morning. And then the sits, we have every morning, Monday through Friday, we have a half-hour sit. In the morning, in Monday, Wednesday, Friday after evening, we have a half-hour sit. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we either go to the jail and teach meditation or go into Hood River for an in-person meditation. So I get lots of opportunities for set time meditation. But I advocate for all of us to do more walking meditation, maybe equal to the sitting. It's healthy for our body, but it's also wonderful to be able to do that. At our temple, we also practice Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing. And we believe that the studies show that people that go to the forest to do their walking and their ambulation, actually there's a pheromone put out by fir and pine trees that actually causes a sense of decreased stress and also decreased stress hormones in our body. So we walk in the forest hoping that the forest heals us and we heal the forest right back.
So as city people, we pursue various things that entertain us, that give us pleasure. People who live in the countryside, they have different types of pleasure. They ride horses, whatever. So those sources of pleasure are good for balance, between finding balance, harmony, or way to get away from work and stress. But my observation is that monks do not watch movies, they don't ride horses, they don't go for long runs or ski, or they don't have the traditional methods of entertainment that we typically see for ordinary people. So where do they get their pleasure from?
Hard questions. In the Theravada tradition and also the Mahayana tradition, monks are not to go to plays, not to go to tea houses, not to go to the theater. I have there's a Druid priest who lives at our temple, and he's an actor also. So he'll say, please come and see me. So I'll go as his request. I don't eat an evening meal, so usually I don't go out to dinner. But my joy is just in living every day. You know, I go out walking. I have a dog who's a friendly big beast. We rescue feral cats and treat them, get them to like people and try to rehome them. I get to meditate and work with really lovely people on a regular basis, yourself included. You show up there. It's always lovely to see you. So my entertainment and my joy is just being present again and again and again. It's a good question. There are restrictions for what a monk can do. That's traditionally an old. But my life's really rich and full. I have no complaints whatsoever.
I would like to take this opportunity to say that we can keep chatting afterward, but I wanted to make sure that people on Zoom see in the chat, and to thank everyone here for coming and understanding also in the practice of dana and gratitude that we have a dana basket over here for Thay and the Buddhist temple, and also right here for Portland for our Pacific Northwest meditation. And if anyone wants to be on our mailing list, there's a sign up sheet. We meet every Saturday at 4:30 here in person and online. And there's a Facebook page and a website that get updated from time to time, but we are more regular with our newsletter. So if you sign up, you can see who might be coming next. I'll be teaching the 1st of January and going over the refuges and precepts. And so I just wanted to alert you to the joy of giving. I think we all know it. The joy of thinking about it beforehand, the joy in doing the giving, and the joy in knowing that it's being received. And I'm so honored that you have come to visit us, and thank you so much.
What a wonderful group of people you have here. I've enjoyed this evening a lot. Thank you for letting me share. And may you all be well and happy. Truly, may you all know love and peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to stop the recording of the music of the session.